This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
If you are headed out to Black Friday shop, man, I'm curious. I'm curious what you're looking for. Curious what gets you out this early in the morning. Is it a new TV? Is it some kind of, I don't know, what is it? What are you on the hunt for today? We will have some high school football playoff games today in and about the area. Nothing in town and nothing on our air. But the Wall Hawks take on the Idalou Wildcats this afternoon at 1 at the Mustang Bowl in Sweetwater. The Wall Hawks. Okay. Today in Floydada at Tire Stadium, T-Y-E-R, Tire, the New Home Leopards and the Clarendon Broncos will play at 2 o'clock. And then the New Deal Lions take on the Cisco Lobos at Wolf Stadium in Colorado City at 2 o'clock. Well,
good luck to all of our area teams.
Isn't that kind of interesting? You've got Lions, Lobos at Wolf Stadium.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Maybe I thought it was a little more interesting than what it is.
Well, don't you think a lot of times during the regular season, there's a situation where, like, the Wolves play at Wolf Stadium?
Yeah.
Since it's their home stadium.
Yeah, right.
So there's probably a lot of that.
Probably so.
In the regular season.
I was just thinking of like Lobos and Lions and Wolf Stadium. All that together.
It would have been cooler if it was the Lobos and like the Coyotes or Coyotes at Wolf Stadium. Because then you'd have had like 3 different versions of the same very similar animals, right? That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. Maybe so. One other kind of conversation starter for tomorrow's tomorrow's game, or just even today for the the leftovers if you're going over to Aunt Sally's. The New York Football Giants scored their first offensive touchdown on Thanksgiving Day since 1938. Okay.
How many games have they played?
On
Thanksgiving Day.
More than a handful. I have that for you here. So
they've played 6 games and not scored one single offensive touchdown?
Yeah, their last offensive touchdown was November 24th, 1938. Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers playing to a 7-7 tie in front of 17,400 at Ebbets Field. Okay. The Giants tied the game in the fourth quarter on a 12-yard pass from Ed Danowiski to Dale Burnett.
I always like a good can of Danowiski.
Right. So how about that?
Okay. Any chance you know how many times they've played?
Yes. I'm sorry, I do. I was getting to that.
Because that's crazy. If they played 6 games on Thanksgiving Day and never scored a touchdown. In that stretch.
Yeah.
Scored an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
You said more than a handful.
More than a handful. It's got
to be at least 6.
They played 11 times prior to 1939. Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, I don't have the. I thought I had the listing here, but I don't.
Jeopardy music.
Okay. This was their second time to play in the second Thanksgiving game. We'll play their 16th game. They're 7-5-3 on Thanksgiving. They're on a 3-game losing streak going into yesterday's game. Now it's 4.
Okay, so 7-5-3. That's 15 games. You said they had played 11 prior to the 39 game. So that's 12. So we had said they played 15. So they scored their last 3 games.
2017, 2009, and 1992.
So 3 games.
3.
Yeah.
3 times. And didn't score an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
Man, even that's bad. That is technically less than a handful.
It's right. It
technically.
Less than a handful.
Never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Well, but I mean,
still 3 games is quite a bit with never scoring one offensive touchdown.
Yeah, their most recent game, which was 2017, they lost to the Washington then Redskins 20-10. The Giants had just 170 yards of total offense from Eli Manning, but did not score an offensive touchdown in that game.
They don't want to be scheduled on Thanksgiving.
They clearly don't.
They do not.
Clearly don't. So there you go.
New Yorkers aren't really into thanking people. It's just really not what they do. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of a...
Yeah. Northeasterners as a whole.
Don't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
Red Raider basketball team fell to Ohio State on Wednesday, 80-73. Justice Suing, he was spectacular. 33 points in 33 minutes, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, and went 8 for 8 from the free throw line. In fact, Ohio State went 18 for 18 from the free throw line. The Red Raiders went 12 of 13. So that's between the two teams, 30 of 31. And nice soft rims there in Maui.
1 missed field goal. 1 missed free throw in the game.
Yeah, right.
How many times are we going to see that this year?
Probably not very many.
I don't know how many games, period, we would see that, let alone just with the Red Raiders.
How many times are we going to see Tech give up 80 and over 50% from the floor?
Yeah. Hopefully not very many times.
Yeah, hopefully, because I don't know that your offense is, at least at this point, capable of keeping up.
Ohio State, 27 of 52, 8 of 20 from 3. They had 17 second chance points, 28 in the paint. Red Raiders had 18 second chance points and 34 in the paint. I think if you'd have told me that before the game, I thought, man, okay. And Tech was 28 of 55, but 5 of 18 from 3. And then they, from a rebounding standpoint, there wasn't a whole lot to rebound, both teams.
You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah. I mean,
it's impressive?
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Time for this day in sports history. Don't want to alarm anybody, but a month from today is Christmas, which is why everybody's out shopping today, allegedly, or supposedly, or supposed to be. Today is November the 25th, 2022. With this day in sports history, here's Jeff McGuire.
1940. Football team at University of Michigan retires Tom Harmon's number 98. He was a good one.
He was.
Really good one.
Good broadcaster, too. And his son is a pretty good actor.
You could say that. Had a pretty lengthy career. Like 23 seasons, it feels like on NCIS. And that's after Chicago Hope? Was that the medical one he was on?
No. Wasn't he on St. Elsewhere?
Yeah, St. Elsewhere. Yeah. 1949, Ted Williams wins the AL MVP. 1952, only win ever for the NFL Dallas Texans. They beat the Chicago Bears 27-23 at the Cotton Bowl. 1961, NBA's Bob Cousy becomes the second player to score 15,000 points. Didn't realize something about him, by the way. He was the assistant coach in Blue Chips, the movie with crazy guy.
Nick Nolte?
Yeah, Nick Nolte. The scene where he's shooting free throws, he was supposed to miss. He makes like 7 in a row. And even Nick Nolte makes the comment, "Don't you ever miss?" That was completely unscripted.
Who was it?
It was Kuzi. Kuzi was the assistant coach.
Yeah.
He was supposed to miss a free throw. It wasn't planned that he was going to make like 7 in a row.
Yeah.
Huh. I did not know that.
I remember Kuzi being in that movie. Yep. I love that movie.
1969, Kansas City outfielder Lou Piniella is voted the AL Rookie of the Year. I wonder how many umpires he yelled at.
He was known as Sweet Lou then.
He was still known as Sweet Lou later. I think it was just ironically.
Right.
1976, O.J. Simpson gains 273 yards for Buffalo versus Detroit. Put this one in here specifically for Chuck Heinz. 1979. The Minnesota Vikings take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the Buccaneers winning 23-22.
Mm-hmm.
Not a phenomenally historical game, except the broadcasters for that game for the very first time. Pat Summerall and John Madden start their 22-year career together.
Good for them.
Nice.
You know who John Madden started with? One of his first partners, the play-by-play guy?
Howard?
No. Frank Gleber. The former Cowboy voice.
And in 2018, the LA Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers sets an NFL single-game record, completing 25 straight passes in a 45-10 win over the Cardinals. Mark Brunell and David Carr previously shared the record of 22. He also set an NFL record for best single-game completion percentage of 96.6%. It is National Eat with a Friend Day. So for all those lunch bets that you have lost, today would be a very good day to pony up.
You have any friends you're going to eat with today, Jamie?
Family.
Do they count as friends?
I mean, I call it, they're kind of at a higher level than friends. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would suggest don't ever eat with non-friends.
No.
Don't ever eat with people you don't want to eat with.
Yeah, I'd rather eat alone than with a
miserable
non-friend.
meal. Yeah.
Happy birthday, former Red Raider baseball player Nathan Carnes is 31.
Big leaguer.
Christina Applegate, 51. Katie Cassidy, 36. Joey Chestnut, 39. Amy Grant, 62. Joe Gibbs, 82. Chip Kelly, 59. Donovan McNabb, 46. And Chris Carter is 57. And for all of you wanting your own personal bridge, today is a warning from 1990. After a howling wind and rainstorm on Thanksgiving Day, Washington State's historic floating Lacey V. Memorial Bridge breaks apart and sinks to the bottom of Lake Washington between Seattle and its suburbs to the east. Because the bridge's disintegration happened relatively slowly, news crews were able to capture the whole thing on camera, broadcasting it to a rapid audience across western Washington. One viewer quoted saying, "It looked like a big old battleship that was being hit by enemy fire and was sinking to the briny deep." It was awesome.
It was awesome.
That's what the report said, and that is this day in sports history.
6:52 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Will you take a selfie tomorrow with the Double T scoreboard?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Jeff?
Negative.
Will you take a last picture of the Double T scoreboard in the south end zone?
Probably not.
Same here.
Probably not. Okay.
Will I definitely pause and take a look at it and just sit there and enjoy it for its last being? Yes, but I don't know that I need a picture of it.
Okay. No masked rider tomorrow. The horse has got a problem. Centennial Champion apparently is on the IL. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we just have the masked rider run out there?
I don't know. I was just kind of wondering why couldn't the previous horse come out of retirement? But I'm sure there's.
Didn't we have a fill-in once before?
Yeah,
recently.
I think so.
Yeah.
So the horse is expected to return to full health in a few weeks, which is.
It was Cody, wasn't it? Wasn't that his name, Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think we should allow the masked rider to kind of show off his athleticism and just
pony stick,
jog out there, and he could do the double guns up now.
Yeah. Number 5 will be in the house tomorrow.
That's cool.
Michael Crabtree. He will be honored.
I was all excited to think he's get to suit up at number 5.
No.
Ruin that dream there.
This is a on-campus salute for Michael Crabtree, honoring him for his induction into the College Football Foundation Hall of Fame. So that will take place between the first and second quarters. So don't go get your popcorn if you want to see that. So
that'll get quite a rise from the crowd.
I would think so, right? That'll be very cool to see that. We'll have Lady Raider basketball on the air for you today on 100.7 The Score and 107.7 Yes FM. That's at 12:30. Tip from Vegas against Middle Tennessee at 1. They'll be in action tomorrow against Mercer tomorrow night at 9:30. Tips at 10. That also in Vegas. And then we'll have Florida at Florida State. It's always a big game. That'll be tonight on 100.7 The Score at 6:30.
Your morning dose of coffee and sports. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Thank you for being with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. The Yates Flooring Center chat line is open if you want to give us a score prediction. Just bragging rights more than anything else. You can do that on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. Paul would like us to wake Tropical Jeff, that would be Jeff Haxton, to give us a hard yes or no if we're getting snow today. He would know, right? He's probably studied the models, right?
I'm sure he is figured out everything that he could possibly know about the weather pattern coming up. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's like the team meteorologist. Not that, like, if you're in basketball season, you're not necessarily needing a weather report. Only if it's a light jacket or a vest, or a full jacket to go to shoot around or the game. But like for baseball, he could be designated as the team meteorologist, right?
I think they have people that take care of that stuff.
They just need. Hey,
I think he stays in his lane.
You call the balls and strikes. Do the.
I think he stays in his lane.
Okay, he doesn't offer up a weather report to Coach Tadlock.
He does a better job of staying in his lane than maybe the women's basketball crew does.
Oh, we are firmly in our lanes. Firmly in our lanes, unless you're hearing reports otherwise. Okay, so I look at Oklahoma and I look at their team stats and their rushing stats and their passing stats, and I don't know. This is really, really strange to say this, and obviously they've had not the year that they are accustomed to having. Part of that's the coaching change, and then the flood of players that went into the transfer portal, the players and the coaches and everything. I mean, basically Lincoln Riley, for the most part, gutted that Oklahoma team. They had to, not that they had to start completely over, because they are Oklahoma, for God's sake. I mean, and they're allowed to get transfer portal players too, and they certainly have. But you don't just go shaking in your boots. Their opponents have more first downs than they do. Okay. Their opponents are within a couple of hundred yards of total rushing of them, 2389 for Oklahoma, 2105 for their opponents. Their opponents actually have more passing yardage than they do. The total offense is within a couple hundred yards. The opponents have more plays run than Oklahoma does. And then the other thing that kind of stood out to me is the third down conversion. It's even from a percentage standpoint, but opponents are 72 of 179, which speaks to more plays being run because you're on the field longer. And Oklahoma's 64 of 160, but Oklahoma's 9 of 23 on fourth down, and they've given up 13 fourth down conversions, 13 out of 24. That's 54%. And then the other thing is that in the red zone, the opponents have actually more scores than Oklahoma and more touchdown scores than Oklahoma. This is not Oklahoma, as we've been accustomed to over the last, let's just say, going back to, the Bob Stoops era.
Mm-hmm. It's just interesting when you look at their schedule. I mean, you see them taking care of business at the beginning of the year in the non-conference play against teams they should have beaten, including Nebraska, who they beat 49-14. So they're 3-0 after that. But then they get shocked by Kansas State. We know over the years that K-State has had the number of Oklahoma. And they lose that one 41-34. Still, though, Kansas State proved to be a good football team this year, so that's not the worst loss ever. Next week, however, they lose their quarterback in the game against TCU, and it was just eye-opening how bad they were in that game. They give up 55, and then they spiral after that, losing to the Longhorns in the next week, 49-0, again without their quarterback. Well, they looked pathetic. Pathetic. Get their quarterback back. The next week, they're putting up 52 against Kansas. Beat Iowa State by a couple of touchdowns. Lose a close one for Baylor. Lose a close one with Baylor. Lose a close one with West Virginia. And it's just, and then look pretty good for one quarter last week against Oklahoma. They're just not, I expected at some point during the season we were going to see Oklahoma come through. We were going to see, the logo turn into what it's always been. Mm-hmm. And it just appears that they don't have the depth. They don't have the veteran leadership that kind of righted the ship at any point. Or maybe it's just because they're Oklahoma and they're not used to being punched in the mouth like they've been punched in the mouth this year. But it's just such it's been a confusing year when you're looking at the Sooners.
Yeah, and then, you look at Dylan Gabriel. So far this year, he is he's 187 of 302. He's thrown 5 picks. He has thrown for 18 touchdowns. He's thrown for almost 2,500 yards, but he's completing at about a 62% clip. So his top target is Marvin Mims. He's caught 47 balls, 4 touchdowns. The longest has been 67. Then you start looking at some of their, the statistical matchup between Tech and Oklahoma. They do lead the Big 12 in rushing at 217 yards a game. Okay, and Tech is 8th in rushing offense. And in terms of rushing defense, the Red Raiders are 7th. So that's not a good matchup. One versus 7.
No, that's what scares you, and that's what we were talking about earlier about trying to turn them into one dimension. The dimension is see if they can beat you with their passing game, not their run game.
Now, Texas Tech is first in passing offense at almost 296 yards a game, and Oklahoma is 7th in the passing defense at 246 yards a game. So, can you effectively move the ball down the field via the pass? Get some runs in there too. You've run the ball decent. Tech's averaged 151 yards a ball game. The challenge is going to be the rushing defense for Oklahoma. They're 10th, so it's not like they've just lit it up either against the run. They've averaged giving up 191. That's more than you. So, their defense hasn't been just lights out. They're 10th in time of possession. Not that means a great deal. They do get to the quarterback. They lead the Big 12 in quarterback sacks. Mm-hmm. So that's a challenge, for that offensive line. We know that. And then in turnover margin, they're +5 and the Red Raiders are -7. So again, and we can say this about almost every game, but when one team's +5 and another team's -7, obviously hanging on to the football is going to be premium.
Yep. No doubt about it, because it appears to be a decently close matchup, an even matchup, and turnovers could change that dramatically.
Would you be surprised if this was more than a one-score game?
No, because
not necessarily.
What if it's, decently close? You're within 5, and there's a late touchdown scored.
How about this? Would you be surprised if it's been like the last? Because your last one-score game was in 2018, in which the Red Raiders lost 51-46. Since then, have lost 55-16, 62-28, and 52-21. You'd be surprised if it was one of those scores.
If it was a blowout one way or the other, yes, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
Okay, you got a question for us. We've had many questions for you. What's your one question for Jeff, myself, and our fine listening audience?
My question today involves Red Raider football, and I want you can be somewhat unrealistic here if you want, just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
My question today is, if you could play any team in the bowl game, who would you want it to be?
Wow. If I could play any team in the bowl game, who would I want it to be? You know, I guess on one hand, I'd have to... Jeff, does anybody come to your mind? Because I'm...
Especially this year. Can't happen. Texas A&M University.
Yeah, because they're not bowl eligible.
They're not even bowl eligible. But it being a game where they're forced to play that one, as opposed to backing out of it in a different... making sure the SEC has them go to a different game. Yeah.
Okay, let me... So we're not even going to worry about bowl tie-ins or anything like that, right?
He said be unreasonable. It can be, we're just having fun.
It can be unrealistic.
It can be unrealistic.
I'd really like to play them this year in a bowl game since they're not bowl eligible, because that means they're bad. But can't always get what we want.
Let me see if... Yeah, I've always liked Purdue, okay? That's kind of an oddball. The other one that kind of came out to my mind is I'd really like to play Florida State at some point in time. I think that would be fun, especially with their Indian and the horse, and our horse versus their horse. I think that'd be fun to have the Seminole come out there and do its thing.
You could have given me 150 guesses.
Okay.
You'd never gotten Purdue.
I would have never come up with Purdue from you. Okay. 150 seems a little bit outrageous since there's 129 teams or whatever.
I always liked Purdue. I
don't know. I probably guessed a couple of them twice before I got to Purdue. It might be fair.
Purdue.
Well, I was just kind of looking, going, Purdue. It's just always kind of like Purdue. Just it would be different.
Okay.
But Florida State would be my top choice.
So the horses can duel.
Yeah, right. So the horses can duel. Okay, and we could see their Indian throw down the stake, the flaming arrow.
A&M is still the top of my list. I know they're not bowl eligible this year, and if you want somebody specifically this year, I don't know that I would say Ohio State or Michigan this year because of how good they are.
Sure.
And you're not at that caliber this year. Oregon could be kind of fun. Are they? I don't know.
We're going to play them next year.
Right, but a preview of that game in a bowl game could be interesting. There, chatter on the chat line says UCF. That there'd be some interest there, since they're coming to the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati could be interesting, but again, more because they're coming to the Big 12. I more have teams I don't want to play in a bowl game than I do that I want to play in a bowl game. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to play Alabama in a bowl game again.
Washed Up Guy says Miami, we owe them a thumping. Somebody else says Ohio State or Georgia. Paul, as you mentioned, says UCF.
I'm 100% behind Bama. Because if you're playing Bama in a bowl game this year, and you think Bama, those players are excited to be playing in the Texas Bowl or the whatever bowl?
Probably
no.
not.
I mean, how many times before have we seen dominant football teams look horrible in a bowl game?
Yeah, many times.
Okay. How excited do you think our team and our fan base would be to play Alabama?
Well, they'd be pretty pumped.
We would 1,000% be the team that is more excited to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So give me Bama, give me Notre Dame, give me USC, okay? Give me those huge name programs that we know don't want to go play Texas Tech in the Cheez-Its Bowl.
Okay.
Because they had plans of being in the national championship playoff, college football playoff, and they wouldn't be into it. We would so be the team that would be more excited to be there.
Yeah.
And guess what? If we lose, will it be a shock?
We were supposed to lose.
We were supposed to lose. You played Alabama. You played USC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just missed out on the playoff. I mean, of course you were going to lose to them.
I wouldn't mind playing USC, but I kind of feel like I've seen that game. I don't know that I want to see that again.
Yeah, just the other day, right?
No, it's Cotton Bowl.
27 years ago.
Didn't say I was realistic.
We just saw that. Just saw it.
See, I made you laugh. I almost made you snort there.
Purdue,
yeah.
Just did not see that one coming. I mean,
Tennessee would be a good matchup, according to David.
That'd be a fun one. Mm-hmm. They lost their quarterback, so yeah, let's go play them.
UCLA, power to the Big 12. Chip Kelly.
Yeah, I just think I want to play a big name, right? I want to play somebody that our fan base is excited to face off against. Because again, if you lose, well, you were expected to lose.
Okay.
But I think you're 100% going to be the team that's more excited to be there, and we've seen it so many times in bowl games.
Sure.
That's the biggest factor.
Right.
You know, I mean, our team would be pumped to go against USC. I mean, they'd be working hard for those 21 bowl practices. Mm-hmm. So, that's the matchup that's one of the matchups I would want.
That's probably better than my thought.
There are no wrong answers, Chuck. Just really odd ones.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the oddballness of things. Again, I finally got you to laugh. Took me till 7:39 this morning. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that. It's just, I think I heard you guys talking about this the other day, and I completely agreed. It's just fun to be kind of talking about the bowls, right?
Yeah.
This one, and I don't believe this would happen. Has Tech facing Kentucky in the Liberty Bowl. That's the first time I've seen that. I just don't see a bowl like the Liberty Bowl or even going with the same team 2 years in a row. Unless they were just absolutely forced to.
I wouldn't guess they would either, yeah.
And this one is from Sports Illustrated.
Fully well knowing that the fan base of whatever school that was would be saying to themselves, we just went there last year.
Yeah.
So they would have to assume they're going to get less fans to show up.
Here you go. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I think you have to be a certain age group to understand Purdue. It made sense to me, that and Florida State.
Oh, Florida State definitely made sense.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Certain age group.
Okay. Welcome to my age group.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And, of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Black Friday, which seems to have lost its luster, I think, in the scheme of things. So if you are out black firing it today and want to hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line, you can, or the Benchmark hotline, 806-771-0973 is the number. We come to you from the First United Bank studio. I'm Chuck Heinz with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. It's nice to have you with us this morning on the morning drive. So I'm kind of thinking about these Big 12 games today, and not just today but also tomorrow. There's one game today, and then the rest of them are tomorrow, and the importance thereof. And I guess the biggest thing to me that stands out is you have an opportunity for Texas Tech, do something you've not done, beaten Texas and Oklahoma at home in the same year.
And that's saying something.
That is. I think getting above 500 for the first time since 2009.
In Big 12 play.
In Big 12 play is saying a whole lot, right? Mm-hmm. Considering everything that you've had and everything that's gone on, over the last, 13, 14 years, depending on how you want to look at it. And then, just the fact that, you close out your season with a good taste in your mouth and head into the offseason from a recruiting momentum standpoint. And I really thought that last week you wanted to be there more than Iowa State. At least that was my perception in watching the game. Okay? Just in terms of how you handled the cold, how you handled your business, how you handled whether it's just the general adversity of the game, your approach. I mean, I can't sit here and say that I, talked to the Iowa State people, because I didn't, or that I went in depth with the Tech side. I went to a couple press conferences and I saw that kind of stuff. But I just in watching the game and watching their body language on the sideline, it just seemed to me that Tech wanted to be there more than Iowa State, and embraced it.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't think that I took that away from the game. I just thought you outplayed them and you made some plays when you needed to. But okay, that's that. I would definitely say our guys didn't look like they didn't want to be there. Mm-hmm. So that's positive. And it looked like they weren't, bothered by the cold or whatever. Yeah,
it just like I said,
both teams had a chance to get themselves to closer to bowl eligibility or actually bowl eligible.
Right.
And so they both had something to play for. Obviously, it was a little bit more difficult for Iowa State.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I just looked at it from the standpoint that I just felt like that you handled it, that Texas Tech handled it better than Iowa State, and they win the ball game 14-10. It's not like you beat them down, but you were able to persevere and get a big touchdown at the end and get some goal line stops and force a couple missed field goals, get fortunate there, right? Or at least one. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just kind of look at it from that standpoint that today with Baylor, Texas, and then also tomorrow with all the games that are taking place, there are some teams that have a chance to put themselves in a better bowl spot, and then there are some teams that still have a chance to play for something really special, like Texas and K-State, and for TCU. The one thing that they can't afford to do is look past Iowa State, and they're going to play a really, really tough defensive team, as we know. It's been well documented. But, Iowa State's got to go down to Fort Worth and play a team that basically is playing for their playoff life, because I think we all know that TCU is going to have to win out in order to be amongst the Final Four.
Right. How does Texas... Okay. Texas has to get the win, and then Kansas State has to lose, and then they would win virtue of the head-to-head win over K-State.
Yes.
Yep. That's what has to happen for the Longhorns.
Yes.
Which is not like the craziest thing ever. The Kansas State game, and it's a rivalry game. It's not a rivalry in the past where we've seen the craziness of the team that's way worse coming back to win or whatever. But when you have an offense like Kansas has, to me, that's one of the things that usually happens when there's a big upset, right? Mm-hmm. When you have a really good offense that can, just have one of those days, and that Kansas offense has plenty of weapons, so maybe it's one of those days, and maybe K-State is overlooking the Jayhawks a little bit, so maybe that game has potential to be better than what we think.
The ESPN matchup predictor for that game, 85.4 for K-State.
What's the line? Do you know?
The line, yes, I do know what that is.
I would guess about...
K-State's favored by 12.
Okay, I was going to go 9.5.
Okay.
That's my guess.
I mean, and, we... I'd love to sit here and tell you that it's a rivalry. It's a rivalry only because the two schools are in the same state. If you look at if you covered up the resumes and you'd look at what's gone on over the last 20-something years, I mean, K-State's owned them.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They've just absolutely owned them. So we'll see. KU is 6-5. K-State's 8-3. It's a 7:00 kick tomorrow night in Manhattan. What do you think of Baylor and Texas today? I mean, Texas has everything to play for. Baylor's playing for essentially a better bowl game.
I've said all season long that each and every Saturday, these great matchups in the Big 12. That's been a lot of fun. I honestly feel like this is maybe like the worst week in a long time. Okay. Uh-huh. And the Baylor-Texas one, to me, I mean, obviously besides the Red Raiders, is the most entertaining. That's the one that I think has the chance to be the best game, and that's an 11:00 game today, not on Saturday. So, I think that could be a good one. I think I favor the Longhorns to win, but I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Baylor pull off an upset.
What I know, I'm not going to say the word root or pull for. But would you rather see Texas win than Baylor win this game?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think I'd rather Baylor win.
Baylor win. Okay.
No.
Jeff, Baylor?
100%.
100%?
ABT football. Okay. Anybody but Texas.
Okay. All right. If you have an opinion on that, hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that. By the way... our friend, the fire sprinkler guy, says 100% no snow. That was his prediction from an hour ago. That's disappointing.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.